Hi, thanks for joining me at Selfseeds Through the Eyes of the Horse. And as you just were noticing on the print, part of our cross training today, I'm riding Juan. This is the second video riding Juan. Is we are integrating the sounds of a chainsaw. You see Justin off to the left. He has cut one tree down, or one palm, one date tree, and now he's working on the second. And so that is part of our cross training today, is the loud sound of the chainsaw. Now, as you can see, so far, Juan's doing awesome. I just got on, threw my leg over, started walking. Now, instead of being like, Justin, can you wait to do your chainsaw? And oh, the horse is scared and I don't know what's going to happen. Oh my gosh, this could be terrible. I'm like, bring it on, because again, my job is to safely and hopefully in a somewhat intelligent way check and see how the horse is taking on changes in the environment. Now, I just passed a bunch of branches. Those were just cut down. He absolutely wasn't even fazed. Wasn't fazed by the sound of the chainsaw. Really good information. Because what am I already thinking? I'm getting ready to ride Juan out the gate. And I'm wondering, how is Juan going to be with cars passing and cows mooing and branches rustling and things happening? So I'm really getting a good kind of a characteristic examination of Juan. And again, it's a real credit to, I'm sure, Dee's breeding plan. I mean, it's like, guy, can I ride some more of these? I love this. And, you know, what's happened? I know there were some things in the training. Actually, the training isn't bad. The part that ended up being a disturbance for Juan was the attention to detail of his body symmetry. He actually is obedient. He respects that when I put the halter or the bridle on. He knows that he's looking at girls more out of the side of his eyes than getting to focus on them directly in the way that he would by himself. And so I can tell there's a switch that happens when I get on him, that he knows, oh, I'm working now. So that's all from good management. And again, it isn't that he hasn't had bad training. I get on, I ride, he's got a lot of basics there. The big focus is the attention to detail about how he moves through his body, the symmetry, how it's affecting him. Now, what's interesting is horses are really intelligent about managing themselves, whether it's an emotional level or a physical level. They have lots of safeguards that they build in. So in Juan's case, his left front quarter of his body, there's something about how he wants to land on his left foot and how he wants to swing through the the left shoulder that ends up being something that affects him. Now, because he's a very short wheel-based horse, it becomes more glaring in other places. He's short-backed, so sitting in a very particular place, the saddle fit is critical. Now, all of this is important for all horses, but it just becomes glaring with certain types of horses for feel, the way their structure is, and all of that. So in Juan's case, what I'm doing is I'm coming up to Justin now. He's got his chainsaw. You can see him in the white t-shirt. Now, my job is not to be nervous, pulling, tightening. I'm like in a science experiment right now, is that I am assessing how Juan takes in. Oh, he's taking a little break. But the tree on the ground you see to the left has just been cut down. And Justin is looking at how to cut this big tree down. Anyway, so I'm assessing how does Juan receive all this information, because when I start riding him out, I'm going to have a good idea how he's going to react to things. How can I trust him? What's going to make sense? Because one thing I really don't need to happen. Now, I'm not adverse to falling off, but I don't want to somehow come off and then have Juan as a young stallion running around the neighborhood of Coachella Valley without me. And even though there's not a lot of horses right near us, I'm not sure he is attached to his home base enough that he would come back. My other horses, I think they'd all just come back and stand at the gate and wait for me. With Juan, I'm not sure because he hasn't been here that long. Anyway, that's another whole subset of the risk of riding out in the countryside by yourself. But I do it because that's what I do, and it is a risk, and it's all good. Anyway, so a big deal of what I'm trying to help Juan with is in the walk, I've assessed him. I want like a fluid action to go through. You see how his neck is bobbing. I want to feel that his neck is undulating in also connection to his back muscles and how he's stepping. If he's just undulating his neck and his body's stuck, that's information. It's not good. If he's not undulating his neck and it's stuck and his body's stuck, that's even worse. So I'm assessing with Juan, he's moving through all of his body, but there is a place on that left front quarter that is restricted. So what am I doing as a rider in the walk? I'm encouraging that his reaction from my leg aids allows him to move forward inside of himself. And then later I want the forward reaction to maybe be his feet move faster, but there's a level of the reaction to my leg that I want to be able to correct the positioning inside of Juan. And then once I can do that, I also want to affect where his feet are going and what's happening. Now, in the beginning, maybe I have to I just hope that he moves forward off my aids and we go somewhere, because if he doesn't move, I don't have anything to work with. So I need him to move. But then now that he's at a much more advanced level, I want him to move in reaction to each part of my leg or my seat or whatever, that I can have a very clear, distinct conversation with different sections of his body. Now, this may sound crazy to you, all of this, but you know, my ballroom dancing has really been what's taught me this. Anybody who goes through some kind of sports training or rehab, you start learning to isolate your body into sections. So that's all I do in riding. Dressage taught me a lot. Riding thousands of miles has taught me a lot. Horses teach me incredible amounts. Vets, body workers working on the horses, feeling the difference, feedback. So I want the horse to allow me to change the positioning and reaction in its body while it's walk, trotting, cantering, turning, going down the trail. So again, 2 different layers of conversation in the horse. And again, I'm a big part of that. So I've talked about before how much I need to work on my own balance, weight distribution, flexibility, fitness, timing, feel, and all those things. So in Juan's case, the bracing on the left quarter of his shoulder and rib cage is getting better. How am I affecting that? When I go to close my leg to ask him to move up in himself, if he blocks, he tends to have a 1-2 reaction. They block on the initial no, and then there's some other kind of secondary no that I see as a sequence in the horse's body. So I have horses where they block on the rein contact, and then they swing their rib cage to the right. In his case, he doesn't really block on the reins. Of course, I'm not using them a lot, but he's blocking inside of that structure, and then he moves to the right. Now, there was a little question about his right hind, but my sense so far is that he's blocking on the left and swinging right. Now, and you could consider that if he has a problem on the right, that he's never been diagonally hooked up, that when you go to move him up, there's 2 layers you can hook horses up in. Well, 3 actually, but I'll talk about the 2. Longitudinally, left to left, right to right, and then for me, a big one therapeutically and making the horse nice and responsible and comfortable in their bodies is a diagonal connection. So there's a connection from the right hind to the left front and from the left hind to the right front. Now I'm taking all this in right now. He's being fine, but Justin just told me that the tree is coming down. So I'm just taking all that in as I go along here. working with, again, oh, there go the minis, with Juan, his balance, how he feels, and the tree being cut down. Now, I have a lot of practice on this ranch. If you only saw half of it, you're watching these videos every day, or not every day, but you see these videos, and there's stuff happening, and every horse, every minute, it's all changing, but there's a lot that doesn't show up on the video that's pretty hysterical, actually. Because of doing all those videos and stuff for Selfseeds, I'm thinking in increments like a videographer in my head, so there's a lot of stuff. I'm laughing like, oh darn, I wish I had my camera. So there you see Justin, white t-shirt, dead palm tree stalk. Now what's interesting is Juan is more bothered, I'd say, by the tree being down. He's very aware of the ground, different shades of color, is it wet, pattern changes, and he's not at all bothered by the sound, which is great news, because if I have big truck go by me or tractors out in the field while I'm out riding him, I don't think he's going to be bothered. Now, crossing water and things, there's going to be some work there, although he was going in the puddles. Anyway, so when I'm riding, I'm looking at how to mitigate this reaction of him blocking and putting his hindquarters right. So that means he has to have two reactions to my aids. He has to be willing to move up, and I have to be able to straighten him. Now, on a higher level horse, I want all of that to help also influence the shoulders coming up. So to me, there's a third plane, which is a little bit of a upward plane in the horse, so that you start to develop the horse being off the forehand. And the horse being in a better balance. Now I'm going to take advantage that Justin just cleared me to go by. I'm going to look at a place up here to canter. This is my second day that I'm cantering him. And it's already better, because in the first time it was like me driving a stick shift and trying to figure out where the aids are. And he's wondering what the heck I'm doing. And I can see already within one ride cantering, he's already like, oh yeah, I know what you're doing. And so it's pretty cool. Horses are amazing. I love this. Now we're cantering.